Former Pakistan President and Army Chief General Pervez Musharraf is hit out at Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In an exclusive interview to TV Today's managing editor Rahul Kanwal, General Musharraf has said that the Indian Prime Minister is not for Indo-Pak peace.
Prime Minister Modi is your Prime Minister, not Pakistan's Prime Minister. We don't get any dictation from him. We know his credentials. We know his anti-Pakistan credentials. Now, it may be a red line for you that people of Pakistan, Prime Minister of Pakistan or the Foreign Secretary should not meet the APHC. That is not our red line. We do not follow your red line. They must meet. I would say that Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, when he went to India, should have met the APHC leaders. Why is that a red line? There is a dispute, internationally recognized by the United Nations. And we, myself and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and Vajpayee were discussing Kashmir. I used to meet APHC leaders every time. So why is there a change of heart? That itself shows the anti-Pakistan credentials of Prime Minister Modi. Now, if that be so certainly it's a confrontationist course. He's taking a confrontationist course with Pakistan. So this red line that he's declared is confrontationist, certainly. It is not peaceful. And when you say that he had invited Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif invited him to Pakistan. He didn't come. So no. Why should Prime Minister
Nawaz Sharif was not Prime Minister.
Keen on running and
Nawaz
going to
Sharif
India.
became Prime Minister long before Narendra Modi got elected to office. He's become Prime Minister of India only in May. Nawaz Sharif was elected before that. You're saying that Modi has confrontationist intent. Now, you have no evidence again to back this. Remember, Prime Minister Modi is the one who invited Nawaz Sharif.
All his speeches. I think let's not. If you deny something, if you call it's sunlight outside and if you say it's dark outside, what can I say? He's been talking all over the world. We know his speeches. We know what he talks about Pakistan. His latest speeches of such aggressive speeches against Pakistan. I mean that they'll teach us a lesson and all that. These are, what are we talking, Rahul? I mean, let's not live in a fool's paradise. And we are also not asleep here. We are listening to what he says. We are seeing what he is doing.
We have TV Today's managing editor Rahul Kanwal joining us live for more on that big interview, which we will be playing out later in the day. Rahul, by speaking against Modi, is it serving General Musharraf a politically domestic purpose? He also going on to say that the Nawaz Sharif government is positive towards Modi?
Well, no, General Pervez Musharraf, when he speaks to Headlines Today in the India Today group, seems to be speaking as the voice of the Pakistani army. There clearly is a huge difference between the approach being taken by the Nawaz Sharif administration. We interviewed Sartaj Aziz in New York, and his approach was very conciliatory. His approach was one of peace. His approach was one of an admission of regret for the fact that the Hurriyat leaders were met by the High Commissioner. Pervez Musharraf, as a commando, as a former army chief, says it is impossible for a Pakistani president or a prime minister to come to India and not to meet the Hurriyat conference. He's in fact hitting out at Nawaz Sharif, saying that Nawaz Sharif should not have met the Hurriyat leaders when he came to India to attend Narendra Modi's inauguration. The message that is being sent out by the Pakistani army through General Pervez Musharraf seems to be they believe that Narendra Modi is responsible for all that is going wrong in Pakistan, which is not necessarily true at all. But they believe, whether it is Waziristan, whether it is Afghanistan, whether it is Pakistan, whether it is Baluchistan, they're somehow trying to make it seem as if Modi is the enemy, Modi is the problem. That's not true, but that's the perception that is being created. They're also making it seem as if it is the Indian army that is escalating along the line of control. It is the Indian army that's been engaging in unprovoked firing, whereas we know for a fact from our sources who are deployed along the line of actual control, and the international border, that it's the Pakistani Rangers and the Pakistani army that's been firing on Indian territory. They're sending out a message that we're so stretched because of what's happening in North Waziristan. Our army is deployed over there. Therefore, we would not be foolish enough to open another front. It doesn't suit us. That's the message they're sending out through this interview. They're making it seem as if India is the aggressor. That is essentially the message that General Pervez Musharraf is sending in this interview. This is his first interview to an Indian news network since the time he returned to Pakistan, faced charges of treason and was out on bail. He's currently in a safe house in Karachi. That's where we recorded this interview.
All right, Rahul, of course, he's also gone on to ask about whether his anti-India stance is to strike a deal or to appease the Pakistani authorities. Let's listen to that excerpt.
So are you trying through the army to secure a deal so that you can go to Dubai or to New York like you helped Nawaz Sharif leave when you were in charge, or do you wish to stay in Pakistan, sir?
Rahul, I came to Pakistan when knowing very well what will happen to me, knowing very well that I'll have to face all these cases in the courts. So I came back. So I'm not a person who's scared and running away. I had to take a decision. Is it that I'm never going to come back to Pakistan? I decided no, not at all. I will. I have to come back. This is my country, my people, my friends, my relatives, my environment. I have to come back. And so I came, and I knew that I'll have to face, I'll have to take this plunge one day or the other. Now when you are saying if I'm dealing or I'm trying to go back and run away, no sir, I'm not. Even my compulsion is only my mother. Number one, that I would like to, I must meet her. She is over 95.
Rahul, he also currently has no real political standing, and for someone who'd like to believe, for someone who's still talking like a statesman, he's talking in line with what the stand his government has taken and in continuance with that policy or what they have tried to show in front of the United Nations, showing India as the aggressor. What really do you think he's trying to get at? He's only appears to be further vitiating the atmosphere with India.
See, we must understand this in context. General Musharraf hasn't spoken since the time he's come back to Pakistan. He's out on bail. The army is taking care of his security. He cannot move without the army's permission. My own sense is through this interview, it is the Pakistani army that's sending a message to New Delhi and to Narendra Modi that you might be 4 times our size, you might be much bigger, we may not be able to match you conventionally, but we have the nuclear option. Because in every question, when he was asked about the escalation along the line of control, about the situation along the border, he used the word nuclear retaliation. He used the word the nuclear option being on the table. That is essentially the message that is being sent out. He couldn't have done this interview possibly without having the permission of his minders in the Pakistani army. So this is essentially a message that's being sent out by General Rahul Sharif also, because on the one side you've got the Nawaz Sharif administration, which is continuing to push for peace, push for settlement, push for talks. That's their thrust. Whereas you've got the Pakistani army, who's clearly very, very worked up with the response that the Indian army has been giving along the LOC, and that is why you've got General Musharraf speaking to us and saying what he is. This is just one excerpt that we've shown so far. There's plenty more, and that's coming up at 6 p.m. this evening, the full interview, and then at 10.
All right, Rahul, thanks very much for that. A quick reminder again of what Rahul just said, the full interview to be played out this evening at 6 o'clock and later at 10 in the night.